The rain had just stopped, leaving the city wrapped in that soft, quiet stillness that only comes after a storm. I stood by my apartment window, staring at my reflection against the glass, wondering how I had ended up feeling so utterly lost about something as simple as love. My name is Ethan, 29 years old, and I've never really been good at it. I could talk about business plans and career goals all day long, but when it came to expressing what was in my heart, I was hopeless. That night, I stared down at my phone, reading a message from a girl I'd been talking to online for weeks. She had finally agreed to meet for dinner. It should have been exciting, but instead, it filled me with nervous dread. I needed help, and there was only one person I could think of: my neighbor Lily. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the beauty of unexpected love, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts around the world. Lily had been living next door for about 2 years. She was 27, cheerful, creative, and the kind of person who could brighten any hallway just by walking through it. She always helped people around the building watering plants for the old lady in 4B, baking cookies for the new tenants, even fixing a neighbor's flickering hallway light when the management didn't care enough to. She was the person everyone liked but no one really saw, including me. At least not in the way that mattered. I knocked on her door that evening, still holding my phone in one hand and my nerves in the other. When she opened the door, her hair was tied up in a messy bun, flour dusting her cheek, a wooden spoon in hand. She smiled instantly when she saw me. "Hey Ethan, you look tense." I awkwardly laughed and explained that I had a date that night and I didn't know what to wear, what to say, or even how to act. I remember saying, "You're good with people, Lily. Maybe you could give me a crash course?" For a second, her smile flickered. It was small, subtle, but I noticed it. Then she nodded and invited me in. Her apartment smelled like vanilla and cinnamon. The lights were warm, soft, comforting. She told me to sit while she went through my wardrobe choices, pulling shirts from hangers, matching colors, giving quiet little suggestions that somehow made me feel calmer. She picked a white shirt and a dark jacket, said it made me look honest but still confident. While I stood in front of her mirror, trying to adjust my collar, she leaned against the wall, watching me with that gentle look she often had. I told her about the girl, how she was funny, smart, and kind, how we'd been texting for weeks. Lily smiled again, but this time it didn't reach her eyes. She said, "That's nice, Ethan. I hope it goes well." Then, as I was about to leave, she quietly added, "You really don't see I like you, do you?" Her words froze the air around me. My heart skipped, my mind blanked. I turned to look at her, but she wasn't meeting my eyes anymore. She was staring at the floor, her voice softer than before. "Forget I said that," she whispered. "Go enjoy your date." I walked out that door, but her words followed me like a shadow all night. At dinner, the girl across from me, Sophie, was everything she had been online. Beautiful, funny, confident. She talked about travel, music, and the kind of life I'd always imagined wanting. But halfway through the meal, I realized something strange. Every time she smiled, I thought of Lily's quiet grin. Every time she laughed, I remembered Lily's laughter echoing down the hallway. Every time I tried to focus on Sophie's words, all I could hear was that one line, playing over and over again in my head. "You really don't see I like you, do you?" When the night ended, Sophie said she had a nice time. I said the same, but even I didn't believe it. Walking home under the city lights, I kept thinking about how I had missed something so obvious. Something that had been right next door all this time. The next morning, I brought coffee to Lily's door as a kind of apology, or at least an excuse to talk. She opened it, looking a little surprised. I told her the date went fine, though my tone probably said otherwise. She smiled politely, took the coffee, and said she was happy for me. But there was a distance now, a quiet, invisible wall between us. Days passed, then weeks. Things changed in small ways. She stopped leaving her door open when baking. Stopped waving from her window. Stopped saying good morning when I passed by. I tried to tell myself it didn't matter, but it did. The building felt emptier. My days started feeling hollow, like something essential was missing. Then one evening, I heard the sound of something crashing from her apartment. Without thinking, I rushed over and knocked. She didn't answer, so I pushed the door open. She was sitting on the floor, surrounded by broken picture frames, tears in her eyes. She had been packing to move out. I helped her gather the frames, photos of her family, her travels, her memories. "I got a job offer," she said, voice trembling. "In another city. I think it's time I take it." I just stared at her. My heart clenched, the realization finally hitting me like a storm. I didn't want her to go, but I had no right to stop her. Not after ignoring her heart when it was right in front of me. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every moment we'd shared played through my mind, like a film I had watched too late to appreciate. The laughter in the hallway, the shared cups of coffee, the small notes she'd leave on my door when I forgot to pick up my mail. I thought about all the times she was there when I was sick, when I was stressed, when I was lonely, and how she never asked for anything in return except maybe for me to notice her. The next morning, I saw her at her door holding a small suitcase. She was leaving. The elevator dinged, and she stepped inside. Our eyes met. One last time. There were no words, just silence and regret. I went back to my apartment, sat down, and realized something I should have known from the start. Love doesn't always announce itself with grand gestures or perfect timing. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's the person who's been right next to you all along waiting. A week later, I found one of her old envelopes slipped under my door. Inside was a small note. "Don't worry, Ethan. I'll be fine. Just promise me you'll stop waiting for something perfect and start seeing what's real." There was also a tiny doodle of a coffee cup and a smiley face. Typical Lily. That note stayed on my desk for weeks. Then months. I tried to move on, dated again, tried to smile, but nothing ever felt the same. And maybe that was the point. Some people leave, but they leave a warmth that never really goes away. It was almost 3 months later when I saw her again. I was sitting in a cafe downtown, typing on my laptop when I heard someone laughing a laugh I hadn't realized I'd been missing until that moment. I looked up, and there she was, standing in line for coffee, looking radiant and alive. She spotted me, froze for a second, then smiled. My heart raced. I walked over, every step heavy with the things I should have said long ago. We talked. She told me she came back to visit her family and was doing great at her new job. I told her I missed having her around. She smiled again, softly this time, like she knew I finally understood. Before she left, I asked her if she wanted to grab dinner sometime. No nerves, no pretending, just honesty. She tilted her head, teasingly. "You sure you don't need help preparing for that one?" I laughed, shaking my head. "Not this time, Lily. I think I finally see." She didn't say anything for a moment, then smiled, that same warm smile that had once made every hallway feel alive. "Then maybe, Ethan," she said, "we can finally start something real." That evening, as she walked away, something inside me shifted. It wasn't just hope, it was peace, because I finally understood that love wasn't about chasing excitement or searching for perfection. It was about seeing the person who never stopped believing in you, even when you were too blind to notice. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to support more stories that remind us to open our eyes before it's too late to see the love that's been waiting right beside us. Special request: before you go, comment below. Have you ever realized too late that someone cared deeply for you? Your stories might inspire someone to finally speak their heart. And maybe, just maybe, remind them that sometimes love doesn't arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it's been next door all along.